Markle's delighted and Prince William's left fuming, but what's he fuming about? And more importantly, why is he so angry? And moving forward, what can he do to stop it? As ever, let me explain. Hi, morning, nice to see you. Yes, we're back on London's Underground again. You see, you get about with me, don't you? Absolutely. We've been on a bus this week. I go on the buses every day. But the thing I would say about being on the bus, if you are coming over here as a tourist, do be very careful, because they're not as cheap as you think, and if you don't get in that hour where you switch over the ticket, it can be very expensive. I don't know what it's like in your part of the world. I think New York is probably a little bit more expensive, but people sort of think, oh, it's cheap travelling on the Underground. It's not. It's very expensive. Used to be, but now apparently we're supposed to walk or go green and get a cycle. Have you tried that? I wouldn't risk it, would you? No. Can you imagine? Have you been on a bike? Yes. Bit worrying, isn't it? Might have a go in the park, but I certainly wouldn't have a go on the roads. Absolutely, with the potholes. Oh, don't get me going. Let's get back to your royal story of the day. Interesting this, because as we know now, that particular tour cost a fortune for Meghan and Harry out in Colombia. And this has now been blasted around, literally, the world, as you can understand. It just doesn't look good either way. But Meghan Markle was delighted simply because, once again, the focus remains on one thing, Meghan Markle. But what's next? Think about it, the Republicans want to remove our British monarchy, and each time they're looking at the cost and saying, well, how much now does it cost every year for the monarchy, particularly the likes of the King, the Queen and the subsequent senior royals. Let's not forget also that during her lifetime the Queen was very much against a slimmed down monarchy. Her foresight was of course brilliant, let's not forget that. But here's the next problem, you see, for Prince William, because as you can understand, all of that now has been detailed as a very expensive, well, vanity trip. What's it actually achieved? Yes, we saw them salsering, we saw them meeting children, and fortunately we didn't hear the national anthem on this occasion and people standing to attention. But what we did see was a fake curtsy, and Meghan is very much pushing ahead with her alternative royal court. She wants to make sure that people see Harry and her as an option that they could afford, if you like, or if the royals don't want to go and visit that particular country, she's more than happy to take over and, more importantly, be seen and naturally get all the headlines around the world. William is very, very concerned about this, as you can imagine, because this really starts up the problem of, well, the referendum and, of course, whether people suddenly now want to pay for the British monarchy, all of that sort of stuff, the costs. As we see all the time, we've seen the insistence of King Charles basically having a slimmed down monarchy, naturally very ill-timed upon that, and something, of course, that his younger sister, the Princess Anne, was very much against, as was our late monarch, basically stating this was a formula that very much worked. So moving forward, what you have to think now is simply this: where does that now leave the British monarchy? Because William understands the backlash that these fake tours, should they keep going ahead, will ensue. While Meghan and Harry are absolutely delighted, naturally, she more than him, I would imagine, with the endless publicity and the front page pictures, negative or not. What she sees is the fact that she is now a viable option, something that she's been working towards a long time. And if this puts a little bit of itching powder in William's domain, even more so, because her goal, of course, was to make sure that she and Harry were equally respected on the same platform and treated just as well. Now, of course, what you've got is going to be a huge debate that no doubt in the coming months, and no doubt as Britain is gripped, as is sometimes the rest of the world, by a cost of living crisis, and every single penny being looked at, exactly how useful are the monarchy? And is there a cheaper option? Well, if Meghan and Harry think they're a cheaper option, let's just look at how much it cost, literally, Colombia. There's certainly nothing cheap about that. But what it does look like is that if the real royals don't want to attend, Meghan and Harry, for a price, are willing to, no matter what cost or indeed what damage to the real British monarchy. Interesting developments, and I'd love to know, as ever, with respect, what you think to this ongoing battle, because it truly is an ongoing battle within the House of Windsor. Neil Sean, Edgware Road Tube, in the very heart of London.